Star Trek II, possibly the best Star Trek film ever made, highly respected by fans and critics alike. And I personally love Star Trek II, but it's not perfect. It's not a perfect film, not by any stretch of the imagination. Star Trek films never are. So let's get a few things out of the way. Star Trek the motion picture. Good film or bad film? Well, I suppose you can split hairs on the topic, but to be honest with you, it was so trying to be 2001, it's just unbelievable. And it had a huge budget. And I'm afraid it's a wasted effort. So actually, Star Trek 2 would benefit from you not seeing Star Trek 1 at all. Take Star Trek 2 as Star Trek 1 and forget Star Trek the motion picture. So if you're going to base a start off and you want some backstory to Star Trek 2, the best place you're going to find it is in the original show and the episode called Spacey. Now, Star Trek 2, Star Trek 3 and Star Trek 4 have been compared to a trilogy of sorts because they rely primarily on you seeing the previous film before the latter film. I.e., you need to see Star Trek 2, then need to see Star Trek 3, and need to see Star Trek 4. They all tie in together very neatly. Now, the problem for me was, when I initially saw Star Trek 2, I saw Star Trek 2 after seeing Star Trek 3 and Star Trek 4. So in Star Trek 2, there's a parallel between Captain Ahab and Khan. Captain Ahab is so obsessed at revenge against the world that's left him partially crippled that he forgets everything else to the point of madness. And Khan, in many ways, is exactly the same. He's so bitter against Kirk for leaving him on the planet and his wife being dead that he can think of nothing else but revenge. So you can see the two parallels work quite well, actually. So let's have a little look at Star Trek 2, shall we? Now, let's just take a look at the artwork first, okay? Look at the artwork. Just look at it for a few seconds. Anything wrong with it? Yes, there's a big thing wrong with it. The Enterprise is shooting at Space Station Regular 1, which is a Federation space station. I mean, my God, who drew that?
We're Klingons, get it?
Doctor, get them down to sickbay and see if you can make any sense of it.
Yes. Okay, on to the film. Now, as I said, I saw Star Trek 3 and 4 before too, so when I started watching this, I was watching all the crew and go, hey, who's that? She's in command of the Enterprise. Where's Kirk? And we all know who that is, don't we? That's Kirstie Alley. Do you remember what she was in? Yes, the show called Cheers. You remember Cheers? Well, I did, because I saw Cheers before I saw Star Trek 2. So I recognised her from that. She didn't go on to have a particularly great career. She ended up doing something called Veronica's Closet, and oh my God! And we know what's in Veronica's Closet, don't we? Pies! Nah, I'm only joking. It's cakes. Anyway, I'm not entirely sure, but I do think that this scene was played out purely on the basis there are rumours going around that Spock died in the film. Well, it comes as no great surprise he does die in the film, but not at the beginning. So I think this was to set aside any rumours, so people saw it goes, oh, Spock's died. Oh, we thought he was going to... Oh, he didn't really die, he was just playing out a scenario. Oh, that's all it was. And then we get the real punch in the face at the end when he actually does die. Anyway, so they're going through the Kobayashi Maru scenario. Hang about, where did Bones' head land? Let's play that bit again, play it again. Oh my God!
Forget it. I'm a doctor, not a patsy.
Hello?
Well, as we know, the Kobayashi Maru test is a scenario where there is no way out. It's a no-win situation. And as we find out later on, Kirk cheated and he won. So, you know. And later on, it's referred to in the film that he never faced death because he cheated. Well, let me put it straight to you. Playing a simulation that you know has no consequences, i.e. in the real world, other than your progression in Starfleet, is not facing death. It's like somebody holding a gun to your face and it's got no bullets in it. It means nothing at all, unless he hits you around the head with it. But what I'm saying is he did face death as much as she faced death. He just cheated his way out of the scenario. That's it. It's not real. Anyway, so that aside, it's over. This is essentially also to show Kirk's having difficulty passing the torch over to the younger crew that are taking over the Enterprise.
They destroyed the simulator room and you with it.
And to make matters worse, it's Kirk's birthday. He's 4,449 years old today. My goodness, that's an old age to get to, and he's still got his hair, or is it a toupee? We will never ever know. So, to make matters worse, Bones decides that he'll pop over and bring some Romulan ale to make damn sure Kirk gets a good headache.
This is charming.
Now we're introduced to the Reliant. It's a funny boxy looking spaceship, and I think, as we see through the film, that it's better armoured and better armed than the Enterprise is. Anyway, that aside, we find out that Chekhov is first officer on board this ship. and they've just arrived at what they think is City Alpha 6. It's actually 5, but we find out why they made the mistake later on. So they beam down because they want to construct or to test the Genesis device on this planet, but they've got to make sure there's nobody alive on it or is incapable of sustaining any life. So they beam down, you know, like you would on a planet that can't sustain life, and have a good fudge around. And they find something that looks like old cargo containers, and so they're thinking, well, there might be somebody actually on this planet, so they go inside, obviously. Didn't knock, didn't ring the bell, didn't even bring them a present, they just walk right in, start fudging around through their stuff, and then Chekhov clicks, Botany Bay, where have I seen that before? Khan. Now that's quite clever of Chekhov. Suppose he could have gone through the previous records of the Enterprise, but here's the thing. He wasn't on board the ship when Khan was. Unfortunately though for them, Chekhov realises too late. They put on their suits, try to make a break. Oh, and they're all outside waiting for them. Sucker!
Gorn, I shall exact my revenge for being stranded on that planet.
Look, it's Ricardo Montalban and his big plastic chest. Ooh, he's dreamy too.
Yes, and that was a controversy as well. Not only do we have the controversy of Shatner's wig, we have this of his plastic chest. Anyway, so he recognises Chekhov, which is clever, as I said, because Chekhov wasn't on the damn ship. I suppose he could have gone through the records on the Enterprise when he was first taken aboard. He does ask to have a look through the crew's manifest and ship specifications, so no, it still doesn't work. Why didn't they watch the original episode Space Seed? Idiots! Well, Khan, being the gentleman that he is, introduces them to his new pets. You see, one of these pets killed his wife, and this is why he's so angry against Kirk. Because his wife's dead, and the planet got pushed out of alignment, and they're all stranded there. But that aside, he really wants to introduce them to his pets, because they're really great. Anyway, these pets enter through the ear and take control of the subject, i.e. making Ray susceptible to suggestions. Also, please take note of the crew around. The crew in this film do nothing. They were all extras, and if they speak, they have to pay. So there's only one extra who talks, and it's quite hilarious. 1 minute he's in the helm, and next minute he's at tactical, and he just seems to bounce around the ship, all around the bridge, while the others just stand around looking daft and stupid. Now, with Chekhov and the captain of the Reliant under his control, obviously they get beamed back on board. He takes control of Reliant. He sends a call over to the space station, Regular One, saying, City Alpha 5 has checked out. Or something along those lines. I think it was something like that. And they say, yes, we're coming up to collect the Genesis weapon to deploy it. Now, on board Space Station Regular One, bearing in mind, it has Kirk's, what should we call her? We'll call her ex-partner for the time being, and his son, David. Now, they're not particular fans of Captain Kirk or what the Federation stands for. And the fact that Reliant is coming to collect the Genesis device to deploy it on the planet really starts to raise some, problematic questions. i.e., Reliant is at their disposal, not vice versa. But they're getting orders from Reliant saying they're coming to collect the Genesis device under instructions from Admiral Kirk.
I'm sorry that you feel that way, Doctor. Admiral Kirk's orders are confirmed.
So Carol Marcus sends a distress call up to the Federation saying, what's going on? And she gets through to Kirk saying, what are you doing? Why are you letting him take Genesis? And he goes, I don't know what the hell you're on about, woman. You're mad. Is it that time of the month? Something along those lines. But no, it isn't. It's legit. So he goes to Spock saying, there's a crisis. Apparently, yet again, the Enterprise is the only ship in range that the Federation are prepared to send. The Enterprise must be the only damn ship the Federation own. It's their flagship, their main ship, their secondary ship, and any other ship you care to mention. It's the only ship that ever gets sent to do anything. So Kirk goes off to make a big speech, and bearing in mind he is now in command of a ship that is run by cadets. So do bear that in mind. So you think, well, Kirk's got a massive advantage over Khan because Khan's only got extras who don't talk. Well, Kirk only has cadets. So bear that in mind. So now the Enterprise is en route to Space Station Regular One, having no knowledge of Reliant apparently being hijacked, which I think is quite interesting. Surely Starfleet would have wondered why Reliant wasn't where she should be, why she's not answering her calls, why her radio response is down, why she's just wandering around doing things that she wants. Didn't ring any bells here. The ship's hijacked. God, Starfleet, stupid. Anyway, okay. So with them on the way there, having absolutely no idea that Reliant isn't where she should be, Kirk and Spock have a little chat, and Spock goes, I don't even know what the Genesis device is, so it would help, you know, my analysis if you could explain it a bit. So they go and watch a little video, which I've got to say, as a kid, looked brilliant. It used computer-generated graphics, and you think, if only they could do computer games like that. What did we know back then? So anyway, we look through that, and Bones comes in and gives his usual, you green-blooded Vulcan, and Spock does his old, it's not logical, and, you know, don't let your emotions govern you. And that kind of crap, and Kirk just looks at them going, oh my god, these people act like idiots. And then they get a call saying, there's another ship in our proximity. And he says, what ship is it? And Savick goes, it's one of ours, Captain, it's Reliant. Now, you've got to wonder, why is that such a shock? We know that Reliant is on their way to Space Station Regular 1. The Enterprise is on its way to Space Station Regular 1. So why is it such a damn shock that the Reliant's there? My goodness me. Starfleet, you're damn stupid. Now we come to the best bit of the film, the first battle scene between the Reliant and the Enterprise, and it's a really well done fight. The thing is, I've got to point out, in Star Trek 2, the film, the way the ships are portrayed, they're more like submarines than battleships. And it's got one of the most bizarre things ever in a Star Trek film. The Enterprise does something which is, it drops down vertically. He calls it Z minus 10,000 meters, and literally it drops down like a submarine would. And they never ever do that again. Most ships, or Star Treks and Star Wars, the ships fly around, don't they? They don't go vertically or horizontal. But this is really interesting. It acts like it's in water and it drops down. Well, I thought it was interesting anyway, but there we go. Alright, now on to the battle. The two ships are now closing. They're getting closer and closer. Khan knows what he's going to do. Kirk's uncertain as to what to do. Savick points out that they have not established communications. They should be on the safe side and raise shields. And Spock quickly slaps down and says, the captain or the admiral knows the regulations. So they get closer and closer. Khan slowly mumbling some stuff out of a book. Kirk's not sure. They scan it. They get a false message saying that their chamber cores are overloading their voice comm. And no, that's a lie. Still doesn't tell Kirk to put the shields up. I remember sitting here to myself as a kid, put the shields up, put the shields up. No, they're getting closer. Put the shields up, put the shields up. Eventually he goes to yellow alert. I don't actually know what difference that makes. It just makes a little bit of a difference in a picture on the screen. I don't think it does anything with the shields. And eventually they draw at close quarters. Khan orders the shields to be raised and open fire. Kirk reacts too late and boom! And did you notice the guy there on the right hand side? Look, let's go back, look. You see at the helm there, the guy on the right? He's the only guy who they paid to talk. So there he is, 1 minute he's at the helm, now cut back to the Enterprise, now cut back to the Reliant. Still at the helm. Now all of a sudden, and now he's at the weapons station, see? What the hell's going on? Look, 1 minute he's at the helm, now he's at the weapons station. What's going on? He must do everything. He's probably in engineering too. And he's the ship's cook. God, he's a busy man.